established by Srila Prabhupada. Since Srila Prabhupada left the planet, there have been hundreds, if not thousands, of other temples established while Prabhupada was on the planet. There were approximately 108 temples. And now we have thousands in each major city. In India, let me just fix this thing. I'm trying to go on the internet. It's a problem here. Each major city in India, we have tens of temples. Like in Delhi, there's at least 10 or 12 temples. And in Calcutta, some temples. What to speak of Mumbai. And so, anyway, we're very fortunate. Let's fix that, okay. We're very fortunate to be part of Prabhupada's movement, and we thank Prabhupada every day for allowing us to serve him in any capacity. Just like the position of Guru is a position of service. It's not a position of being a master. Of course, for the disciples, the Guru is called the master, Nath. Just like one of the ladies was calling her husband Nath today. Of course, that's his name, Nathji. Anyways. But actually well, this is politically incorrect, but maybe all the ladies should call their husbands Nath. Or Swami, as the case may be. So anyway, but really, the husband is not the master. The Guru is not the ultimate master. It's not an absolute point. It's a relative point. Whoops. We may be considered spiritual master by the disciples, but by Krishna, we're not considered a spiritual master. Krishna looks at us, he doesn't think, oh, here's my spiritual master. We're not Sandapani Muni. Sandapani Muni is Krishna's spiritual master, but actually Krishna has no spiritual master. Just like, it's an interesting story from Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Advaitacharya, he had a son. His son's name was Achyutananda. Some of you may know the story. And so, once upon a time, someone asked, who is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's spiritual master? And Advaitacharya responded, Kesava Bharati, and Ishvara Puri. And his son, Achyutananda, started to chastise his father. He said, how can you say this? How can Lord Chaitanya have any spiritual master? You remember that story? Interesting story. And Advaitacharya basically offered obeisance to his son. He said, his son understands more of the tattva than he did. So ultimately, we are all servants. There's no question of identifying ourselves as spiritual master or as Brahmin. So many of you have second initiation and you're very proud. You say, I'm a Brahmin, or I'm the temple president, or I'm the GVC, or I am the king of my castle. That's the husband. And the wife is the Maharani, great queen. Maharani means great queen, doesn't it? Of course, that's reserved for Srimati Radharani. Not for you rascal. So we are not Maharaj. Of course, for etiquette's sake, it's all right that just people call me Maharaj because I have a sannyas dhoti on. But the point is, Jivara Swarupohai Nitya Krishna Das. That's really the point. We are servants of Krishna, and not only servants, but Gopi Bharata Padakamala Dasa Dasa. Dasa Das. We're servants of a servant of a servant of a servant of the Lord who maintains. the gopis in Vrindavan. We should never think of ourselves as master or important. This is a cause of fall down. We were speaking about this last night, actually, in the car, that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, this great Vaishnava, he's called the Rasacharya, he said one of the causes of anarthas is the byproducts of bhakti. So let's describe what anartha is. Anartha means things you don't want. Artha is something you want. So anartha means something you don't want, like Dhanam, Janam, Sundarim, or Kama, Krodha, Mada, Matsarya, Bharya. That's lust, anger, greed, illusion, envy, etc. Because these things cause you suffering. Lust causes you suffering. It's never satisfied and burns like fire, isn't it? Kama rupena kontya, dushparena, anulena cha. This lust never satisfied. Lust, anger. And who is happy when they're getting angry? Isn't it? When someone gets angry, they're committing offenses, they're not happy. Only when you're peaceful. That's why people always say, what? Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti at the funerals. And also, what are they? In the West, they say R.I.P. You know what that means? Rest in peace. You see that in the tombstones sometimes. R.I.P. Rest in peace. But we don't want to rest in peace. We want to serve Krishna. So, anyway, so we want to be peaceful. So lust, anger, greed, when you want something, you're never satisfied. Fear, lust, anger, greed, kamesha, krodesha. Anyway, these things, bhukti, mukti, siddhikam, sakalaya shanta, Krishna bhakta nishkam, ataiva shanta. That if you want these things and have these anarthas, you will never be happy. So, the only way to overcome this particular tendency of being disturbed is to think of yourself as a servant. That's the point. So anyway, so the point I was making is one of the causes of these anarthas is the byproducts of bhakti. I'll explain that in a second. The other causes of anarthas are sinful activities, pious activities, and offenses. But by the byproducts of bhakti, we mean as one takes up Krishna consciousness, one has a tendency to become very proud. Even if you're a new bhakta, then you think you're better than the karmis, right? I'm a devotee. Oh, those are karmis. Malechas, yavanas, rakshasas, demons, isn't it? And oh, now Krishna conscious. All those stupid karmis out there. But that's an anartha. You should be understanding that by the grace of Krishna you're here. And these are all devotees out there, they just haven't realized it yet. Nobody's a karmi. They just are acting like one right now. But actually they're all devotees, they're all your brothers and sisters. Yastu sarvani bhutani atma naivanu pashyati. Sarva bhuteshu chatvanam tato navigagupshate. That's Isopanishad. One should see everyone connected to Krishna. They're all your brothers and sisters. And even the plants and the animals and everybody, they're all your brothers and sisters. Even if you see all these barking dogs here in Fiji, you shouldn't hate them. Of course, we don't like it when they keep us up all night. Prabhupada and Srila Tamal Krishnaras complained about it. But still, a Vaishnava never hates anyone, nor discriminates, nor thinks he or she is better than anyone else. This is nonsense if you think like that. So that's, even for new bhaktas, there's that nonsense. And then as you advance, you get initiated. Now I'm initiated. I'm better than the new bhaktas, isn't it? You get some status. Ooh, you're not initiated yet. And then I was initiated 5 minutes before you. I'm your elder god brother. You ever hear that before? Yeah. Guru called me up about 1 minute before you during the initiation ceremony. So we're all going to be concerned who I call first, because then they'll be the senior Vaishnavas. And then after one takes second initiation, then one looks down upon the first initiated devotees. I'm a Brahmana. And then if you think you're a Brahmin, then you start charging people for your Brahminical activities. If you want to die, you have to call me first and give me $5,000 for permission to die. Funeral, Antyeshti, right? Not quite that bad, but. And then you have to hire someone, and when you hire someone, they're not a Brahmin anymore. A Brahmin, yajan, patan, dana pratigraha. Brahmin can take charity, but there's no price list, isn't it? Brahmins now, they put on the internet their price list. Actually it's Brahmin, hireabrahmin.com. Or you even see some temples that doapuja.com. You go into the temple website. Want to do a puja, you put in your credit card. Like that. Everything's become very sophisticated. Or even there's apps on the phone, Oh, you can worship the deities, and you press the button and it takes money out of your bank account. So, anyway, so you become a Brahmin. And then after that, you become temple president. And then all the devotees work for you, right? They're all little, what we say, peons or shooters or whatever. They're all meant to serve you. I'm the temple president. And then and so all these anarthas accumulate. Which you never think that one's the boss of anyone else. One should think we're their servants. And then the anarthas further accumulate. You become, GBC, like me. And then you think, I'm the boss here. All these temple presidents, they work for me. All these prabhus, they work for me. All the ladies, they work for me. Janam Janam Sundari, right? And then one becomes, after that, one can become guru. And there's even more anarthas come. I'm the guru, I'm the master. And then, actually like sometimes in Fiji, I remember it was in Lambasa, that you're sitting there on the Vyasasan and two ladies are fanning you like in some bad Hindi movie, Bollywood movie, isn't it? Like you see Ravana's there sitting on his throne. Have you seen that? And he has these ladies with their chamar. I've seen it. That happened to me. So anyway, it was arranged in Mombasa. Of course, I wasn't thinking I'm the master. I'm thinking this is wild. As they get on the servant. So the point is, not that we give up these positions, but we use these positions in service to Krishna. We always realize that we're servants, right? That's the point. Because if you don't think like that, you'll be sad, you'll be depressed. Depression can come from the point of thinking you're the master. You're meant to enjoy. Ishwar aham, bogi, siddho hum, balavan sukhi, right? I'm the controller. I'm perfect, powerful, and happy. That's the demoniac. So when we succumb, or when we give in to the byproducts of bhakti that come naturally, then at that point, we lose our bhakti. And in this regard, I remember my dear godbrother Jayananda, who was actually really good friends with Srila Tamal Krishna Maharaj, right? And Jayananda was so humble. He was a temple president probably the most advanced devotee in the Krishna conscious movement. But he would be regularly found fixing the cars in the temple. You would go visit. I remember going to visit the temple. Where's the temple president? Oh, he's underneath the car, changing the oil. So I had to speak to him, and the only part of his body I could see were the feet. So that's Vaishnava. He's ready to do anything, clean the toilets, anything. He doesn't think of himself as guru, because then he's guru. He's an ass. So why should you become an ass? So in any of these situations, one should never think of themselves as any better than anyone else. Otherwise, you are a big ass, mudha. Of course, don't call other people that name. Call yourself that name. It's all right to find fault with yourself. You want to be a fault finder? Great. Look at yourself. Look at the mirror. And then, like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, I'm finding fault with others because I myself am pockmarked with the same faults. In other words, we're seeing faults in others because we have those faults. Otherwise, we couldn't identify them. So, therefore, that's the point of initiation. That's the whole point. You're a servant of Krishna. You want to be happy. You better realize you're a servant. That's all. That's Das. Everyone gets the name Das or Dasi, which means servant. You are not Krishna. You are Krishna Das. Very important. So, anyway, that's an introduction to today's lecture. So, today we're having first and second initiation, or what we probably call the Brahman initiation, and also the Harinam Diksha. So I'll describe that in brief. Harinam Diksha, of course, means to take your initial vows in serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and those vows are simple. 4 regulative principles: no meat for shrugs, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling, and chanting a minimum of 16 rounds a day, and serving the Vaishnavas, and serving Srila Prabhupada's movement. That's really important, because we're taking initiation within Srila Prabhupada's movement. And our right, our adhikar, is only within Srila Prabhupada's society, because we're connected with Prabhupada. You may say, well, I have my guru. Well, I may be your guru, but my, as they say, claim to fame, or my ability to do anything is my connection with Prabhupada. There's nothing else. And my connection with Prabhupada is connected to serving his mission. As stated in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that when the spiritual master passes away, and of course I experienced that with Prabhupada in 1977, the disciple should decide to serve the mission of the spiritual master rather than leave the planet, rather than, the other alternative is to leave the planet with the spiritual master. And one who decides to serve the mission of the spiritual master and dedicate himself to the mission of the spiritual master, the super soul appears before that person. In other words, he gets direct guidance from Krishna and from the other Vaishnavas, his god brothers, god sisters, like that. So this is a very important point. So our connection, all of us, is with His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. We read Srila Prabhupada's books. We assist the temple here and all the different temples and aspects of Prabhupada's mission. We distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. We preach about Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is the unifying factor that keeps us all together. Without Prabhupada, we break up. With Prabhupada, we stay together. Because Prabhupada is the founder Acharya. That means he started the movement, he set the example for everyone else, and we continue to serve him, and Prabhupada is present here today. Prabhupada is present when we serve his movement. Prabhupada is present in the deity. Prabhupada is present in so many ways. And of course, he's not Krishna, but he's present. His presence, his energy is manifest in this movement. Try to remember that. If you get Prabhupada's mercy, Prabhupada will be more merciful to you than he is to me. Because I am Prabhupada's disciple, but Prabhupada is the grandfather spiritual master of all of you. That means he's more merciful. You get more mercy than I ever got. You're more fortunate than me. He's kinder. I get chastised. You get taken care of very nicely, softly. Just like, it's interesting that when Srila Tamal Krishna Maharaj was here, people said, "You chastise us too much." And he said, "I'm going to send you someone who doesn't chastise," because that was me. Anyway. So, but you know, I do chastise, but in a different way. I may chastise disciples through humor, a little sarcasm. It's a little bit different technique, but you have to hear. If you hear, you can understand it's chastisement. It's just as heavy. So don't worry. A different way. And if you don't listen, then Krishna does the chastisement, right? Krishna does the spanking of the disciples. So, anyway, so first initiation, of course I said Harinam initiation. And Harinam means chanting the Lord's holy names. The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is none different than Krishna. Purna Shuddha Nitya-Mukto, Vinatvam Namanamino, Namachintamani, Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha. And we have to learn how to chant nicely. Because our spiritual advancement is dependent on our service attitude and towards the holy name and our way of chanting the holy name. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he talked about the 10 offenses in chanting, and he advised us to always talk about them during initiation. So I'll go through the offenses very quickly. The first offense is blaspheming the devotees who have dedicated their lives to propagating the holy name of the Lord. And of course, instead of doing that, we should praise those devotees, serve those devotees. Mahatseva Mahura Vimuktes. Not just serve our spiritual master, but serve every devotee who is dedicated. And so the second offense is to consider the names, this is a big one for people in Fiji. Consider the names of the demigods, like Indra, and Shiva, and Ganesh, and Varuna, and Vayu. So I mentioned all 33 million. And we'd be here all day long. All the names of demigods, 33 million names, we can chant them all. So, anyway, so consider them equal to or independent of the holy name of Lord Vishnu. Generally, the names of the demigods are a name of a position. Like Lord Brahma means the greatest. That's not his actual name. He has another name. I don't know his name. Does anyone know Lord Brahma's name? No, you don't, because it's not mentioned in the Shastras. Indra, you can become Indra, you can become Lord Brahma, you can become Vayu, you can become Varuna. Good luck. You have my blessings. You don't do it. It's not a good idea, because there's so many problems in the heavenly planets. So, but many of you want to go to Swarga, so go ahead. If you don't make a lot of advancement in Krishna consciousness, next life you'll be in Swarga. That's what Krishna says in Gita. And then after that, the life after that, you will take birth in a rich family in Fiji. In a Patel family. So anyway, so except for Lord Shiva, who is a special category, all the demigods are just names. By chanting their names, they do not appear. You can say Indraya Namaha, Indraya Namaha, Indraya Namaha, Indraya. He doesn't come, because his name is different, but Krishna and his name are the same. So anyway, and the third offense is disobey the order of the spiritual master. Of course, we do have our Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. checks and balances. But the spiritual master can be asked, where does that instruction come from? What is a shastric reference? The spiritual master will always give shastric reference to any spiritual instruction. Maybe not to how to drive your car or something like that. You don't need to give shastric reference to that. But basically, we follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada and our spiritual master. Next offense is to blaspheme the Vedic literatures or literatures in pursuance of the Vedic version. In other words, we don't even criticize literatures outside of Hinduism if they glorify God. There's some good in all the religious scriptures of the world. Even Buddhism, which ultimately is what we call nihilistic or Shunyavadi, there's some good in it, because what do the Buddhists say? Material world is suffering. We agree, right? Hopefully you agree. You don't think so, no? So, because you're young, you're thinking material world's nice. It's nice, if I can migrate, then everything will be all right. But then the more you try to do things in this material world, the more entangled you get. Then you get a big mortgage, and for the next 50 years, and you're 40 already, you'll be paying off. I was just talking to someone last night, and they have friends that are paying off a mortgage, and they're 80 years old. Woo! No rest, isn't it? Here in Fiji, everything in life is really nice. Simple, but nice. I mean, I've never seen anyone starve to death in Fiji. No. Some people die, but that's part of the material world. But nobody starves to death. I haven't seen too many thin people here in Fiji either. Sometimes if someone's sick, we have one devotee here. So, anyway, don't criticize the Vedic literatures. Another offense is to consider the glories of the holy name to be imagination. We describe why they're not imagination, it's Krishna directly. Another offense is to give some crazy interpretation of the holy name. I mean, if you want to understand what the holy name means, it's Radha and Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That's Radha and Krishna. It's the holy name, and Krishna means the most attractive person who gives ananda or bliss. Nice. Don't make up some crazy meaning of the holy name. And so the next offense is to commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting. In other words, by chanting even Namapash, you become free from all your karma, parabdha karma, aparabdha karma, kuta and bija. I'm not going to describe those terms right now because we don't have time. But you become free from all your karma. And so you may think, I can just drink my kava and chant while I'm drinking my kava, right? I go to the mandali, Ram, Ram, Ram. Okay. Right? Isn't that what they do? All night long. Ram Kata, Yeah. Even here, if you don't have kava at the funeral, nobody will come. Nobody will come to remember you. So in your will, you should leave some money for the kava. You say, when I die, there should be 25 kilos of kava. And that way you'll have all of Fiji coming to remember you, right? Isn't that true? You'll have to charge admission to the funeral. So, don't think you can chant and get away with it. Because Krishna sees. Krishna, just like in this temple, we have some cameras here, I think, somewhere. They're watching us right now. Yeah. So you can't get away with anything. So in the same way, Krishna has cameras on you 24 hours a day. Everywhere, in your bedroom and everything. You're not going to get away with anything. Krishna won't let you do that. So don't think you can get away with murder. So, very important. So, Eighth offense is to consider chanting to be like a ritual. I know here you have so many rituals. You know, it's unbelievable how many rituals you have. You leave cigarettes out for the dead people to smoke, right? Someone died because they were smoking cigarettes. And now you give them more cigarettes. It's pretty stupid, isn't it? We died from cancer, so let me offer cigarettes. Because that's what he liked to do. And what else are you going to leave out there? Girls for him or something like that? Crazy. So you have all these different rituals, some of which are bona fide, some of which are not. Like every time you yawn, you're supposed to snap your fingers, right? No, you never heard of that one? Presby Hart knows that one. So you're supposed to snap your fingers. One time, one of my godbrothers, who was not from India, he was yawning and snapping his fingers. I thought he was hungry. I got him some prasad, yeah. He said, no, I'm just getting rid of the ghosts. We get rid of ghosts by chanting Hare Krishna. So it's not a ritual, and of course the ninth offense is to preach the glories of the Lord to those who are faithless. What does that mean? That means we do preach to everyone, but according to their ability to understand. That means before we talk to someone about Krishna, we should find out who they are, what their ability to understand is, what their intelligence is, right? I mean, it's practical. Like for a little child, you don't start speaking about Sanskrit philosophy. You just say, chant Hare Krishna, and eat prasadam. And in most cases, that's what you do. Like one time Prabhupada was giving a lecture in France, where they're very political in France. And so they made a big Vyasa sign for Prabhupada, and people got really angry because they're revolutionaries, French Revolution. Anyone's heard of the French Revolution? Where they chopped off the leaders' heads? And no one's heard of that? You heard about it. They had the leaders in France, the king and queen, that had a revolution. They'd send everyone to the guillotine. Guillotine is something where they chop your heads off. So they're very revolutionary people. If you try to act better than anyone else, they don't chop your head off. So when Prabhupada was sitting there on the Vyasa and they were going in French, they would say, par terre. Par terre means hit the dirt. Of course, that's offense against Prabhupada. Get down on the earth. And Prabhupada said, from now on, in France, no big seats. So Prabhupada was adjusting because they were basically preaching the glories of the Lord to those who were envious. So you have to adjust your presentation to people according to time, place, and circumstance. Interesting. So that's the ninth offense. So the 10th offense is to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and maintain material attachments. We should be trying to give up material attachments. How do we give up material attachments? By serving Vaishnavas. Very easy. Serve the Vaishnavas, chant the holy names, eat a lot of prasadam, not too much. But when I first joined the movement, they said you have to eat a lot to get purified. So we had a lot of stomach aches after prasadam. I remember lying on my side and groaning after eating and saying, I overdosed on prasadam. And the devotee said, just turn on your left side. It's a lot better. Because when you're on your right side, there's a liver there, And that's why you're feeling pain. So we had to turn on the left side. I remember all the brahmacharyas lying down. So don't eat too much. But eat a lot. Anyway, it's a contradiction. Eat a lot, don't eat too much. Anyway, so one should be trying to get rid of these attachments which cause you pain. Attachments, that's like I said about Buddhism. They're right. Attachment causes the suffering. Give up the attachment, what? The suffering goes away. So they're right. Of course, they're not right about the ultimate goal. So, so we avoid the 10 offenses, and we perfect our chanting by studying, excuse me, by studying Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Shikshashtaka. And as I mentioned the other day, we chant with the heart. We use our mouth, of course, ears, of course, but we should be emotionally involved while we're chanting. That means, Krishna, Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram, Patita Mam Vishame Bhavambudo, Kripya Tava Padapankaja, Stita Duli Sadrasam Bachintya. I'm your servant, Krishna, I'm suffering in this world. Please, fix me at your lotus feet. That's how we should be chanting. All right, so that's first initiation, and we describe the reason for it is so that you'll be happy and please Krishna and make a solution to the problems of life, and ultimately at the end of this life, go back to Krishna instead of having to come back to this miserable material world. All right, then second initiation, very quickly, is called Brahman initiation, and to be a real Brahmin has nothing to do with the thread. It has everything to do with the qualities that you exhibit. And the qualities are listed by Krishna in the Gita. Samo dhamma tamaksham shanti rajuam evacha jnanabhijnanamastikyam brahma karma svabhavajam. If you don't have those qualities, then at most you're a sacred thread holder. Then in other words, the Brahman thread is simply a decoration. That's all. Like you have decorations. You have a watch. Some of you have earrings. Some of you have glasses. Some of you have hair. Some of you have colored kurtas. Decoration. Colored saris. It's all decoration. Nothing wrong with decoration. I mean, we decorate the temple. But if we decorate the temple and there's no chanting, then it's useless. So if you decorate your body with a Brahman thread, and you don't have these qualities, which I'm going to describe, then it's all useless. Then you're a Brahma Bandhu, or Kali Chela. Then what's the use? So, just like I described before, if you're charging your Brahman and you're charging for your Brahminical activities, you're not a Brahman. You've lost your caste like that. Okay. And if you discriminate against others, thinking that you're better than people who are not second initiated, you've lost your Brahminical caste. You've lost it. A Brahman is Samadarshi. He sees everyone equally. Vidya Vinaya Sampane, Brahmane Gavihashtani, Shuni Chaiva Swapakecha, Pandita Samadarshana. That's a Brahman. So, as far as the qualities that Krishna lists, a Brahmana is always equal poise. He doesn't get angry, except when it's necessary to correct someone, but he's not controlled by anger. Vacho Vega Manasa Krota Vega. It's necessary, he gets angry, but then in a second, he turns it off. But material anger is you get angry and then for 3 days later, no one could speak to you, right? Like you say to your wife, don't speak to me now. I'm in a bad mood. Did you see that? So that's material anger. Spiritual anger is something different. So somewhat, you're equal poise and also happiness, distress, peace, and whatever's happening in the world, you're still the same. You're steady. You're nishta. So samadhamma, you're controlling your senses. You're like the tortoise, the turtle, who's pulling his senses in when there's danger and letting them out when you can do something practical like finding food, right? So you understand how to control the senses with intelligence. That's why Krishna consciousness is called Buddhi Yoga, intelligent yoga. So Samadhamma, Tapa, that's the frightening word. Tapa. So, tapa literally means to burn. That's a direct translation of the word tapa. It doesn't mean you burn. We have fire sacrifice. Burn your karma. So tapa means, basically as Prabhupada translated, austerity which burns away our anarthas. So our austerity is accept everything favorable for serving Krishna and reject everything unfavorable. And don't worry about all these other austerities like Bhishma Panchaka. You don't have to do those things. Prabhupada said the material world has enough austerities. Our austerity is Krishna, Nam Sankirtan, preaching. Preaching, bringing others to Krishna consciousness, chanting ourselves, serving the Vaishnavas. The material world is so austere. Since Prabhupada left, devotees have invented so many new austerities in the Krishna consciousness movement. It's called smarta Brahmanism. You pick and choose things that Prabhupada never gave us. And it's become frightening, isn't it? All these austerities. Do your austerity. Like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, of course, we don't take grains on Ekadasi. That's very important. But one time he gave grains on Ekadasi to one of his disciples who didn't have any energy to preach, so the disciple could go out and preach Krishna consciousness. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he did many austerities, but his austerities were to get the potency to preach Krishna consciousness. So, Tapak Shocham, then Shanti Arjvamevacha, then tolerance. We tolerate all sorts of circumstances. Of course, that's the first lesson of Bhagavad Gita. Matra Spashas Takontiya Sitoshna Sukudam. Happiness, distress, pleasure and pain, summer and winter seasons, etc. So we tolerate, and then we're honest. We always tell the truth, but in a way that's pleasing and beneficial. We don't lie, because if you lie, if you lie to some people, no one will trust you again. I know the people who have lied to me in the past. I don't trust them anymore, completely. I may give them another chance. I'm very liberal. I can give people 1,000,000 chances. But in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, they could do something again. Isn't it? Once someone is violated, Prabhupada's described, when you break someone's trust, it's like you break a glass. You can take a glass and glue it back together again, but it's never the same. It's never the same. So Brahman means to tell the truth. And also, those of you taking first initiation, tell the truth too. And keep the truth. Not only you tell the truth, but if you make a promise or a vow, which you're making today, for the first initiation, Father Beatman kept his vows and promises. That's Dridavrataha. Vyavasayatmika buddhi rekeha kulinandana. So, anyway, Shocha, and then Shocham, cleanliness. Brahman is clean inside and outside. Outside, regularly bathing. Of course, we all are supposed to wash our hands before eating, after eating, clean clothes every day. But clean inside by Yaksmaret Pundarikaksham Savaya Abhyantara Shuchi Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, like you all chant, isn't it? Om Pavitra, Pavitrava, Sarva Vashtam Gatopipa, Yaksmaret Pundarikaksham Savaya Abhyantara Shuchi Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, which means always remembering Krishna. That's the first regulative principle. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Okay? And so anyway, so the other one's religious, cultivating spiritual knowledge, reading, if possible, Srila Prabhupada's books or listening to lectures, and applying the knowledge, jnana vijnana. And so these are the qualities of a Brahmin. So those of you who take second initiation, we're expecting to come to those standards. Those who are first should also come to the standards, but especially those who are taking second initiation. Anyway, so that's the purpose of initiation, first and second, and now we will proceed with, I guess, the name giving. And so at this point, the first initiates should have their neck beads, new neck beads put on. Where is the list? And then the procedure should be as I call up the initiates. They should come one by one, first offering obeisances to Srila Prabhupada, then the deities, and then to myself, and then we will do the vows, and people will take initiation. Okay, let's see. Everybody has their own beads here. Okay, beads. And so the devotees will be taking the vows to chant 16 rounds minimum every day, follow 4 regulated principles. Okay, so first is Jwati would be the first. Yeah, let the ladies go first. Ladies go first. Mataji. Mataji. Okay, so first is Jayawati. Prabhupada, deities, and myself. That's the procedure. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I know. I figured that by her birthday. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna. Jayawati. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bhava. Thank you. Okay, so there you go. So you'll translate for her? Okay, 4 regulated principles. You can translate. No intoxication. Okay. Okay. I mean, really don't have to ask an older lady that so much. Really don't have to. You know, chanting how many rounds take? 16. Okay, very nice. So you get the beads with your right hand. So your name now is Janeshwari Devi Dasi. Janeshwari Devi Dasi. Jai. That means the servant of the Lord. Okay. The Lord of the universe. The Lord of all people, actually. Okay, next is Anita. Next. Okay, Anita. Ready, go. You can translate for her too? Or? Okay. Speaks English. Okay. So, what are the four regulative principles? Okay. And so your name now is, get the beads with the right hand. Amita Shakti Devi Dasi. That's of course the name of Radharani. Hare Krishna. Oh, thank you. Okay. Congratulations. Let's see, who's next? Oh, Naveen. Oh, no, let men, women first. Women are more qualified than the men. They are. That is devotees. So, let's see. Okay. All right, let's do next is Karti. Okay. Hare Krishna. All the way from New Zealand, just to take initiation by the mercy of Krishna Chandra. Rasvihari. So, what are the four regular principles?
Refrain from meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, and gambling.
Good. And how many rounds every day?
16 rounds minimum.
16 rounds minimum. So, all right. Here's your beads. You get them with the right hand. Your name now is Krishna Tulsi Devi Dasi. Krishna Tulsi Devi Dasi Ki Jai. Very nice. It's a nice name, actually. Okay. Oh, thank you. Okay. Who's next? Let's see. Actually, they gave me all the initiated people's names. People already initiated. One thing is that one problem I have is that every time the devotees lose their beads, they want me to chant on them again. Don't do that. Prabhupada said the blessings of the spiritual master are eternal. You know, otherwise I'd be chanting on hundreds of beads. You know, people lose their beads. So, please don't ask me to chant on beads again. So, next one is Naveen. Chandra. Okay, Naveen. Hare Krishna. So, the four regulative principles?
No meat eating, no illicit sex, no illicit sex, no gambling.
Yeah.
No meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex.
No.
No intoxication. No intoxication.
No intoxication. Okay. In the Western world, when I do this, understand? You understand? So, your, your name now, you get the beads with the right hand, is Nirguna Das. Nirguna Das Ki Jai. And let's see, one more. Sure know where his beads are. Here it is. Trinav. Ready. Okay. Wow. How old are you?
15 years.
15. Wow. That's very impressive. One of my disciples in the United States, he took initiation when he was 11. First initiation was 11. Took second when he was 12. He's from a Brahminical family in Orissa. So he's just like, and now he's about 14 or something, and he's going to go to the university. Brilliant. So, what are the four regular principles?
No meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, and no gambling.
And how many rounds you can chant every day?
Minimum 16.
Minimum 16 rounds. Very good. So, your name now, as you get the piece with your right hand, is Tri Yuga Das. And of course, that's the name of Krishna. Krishna appears in 3 yugas, but actually in the 4th yuga, he's a covered avatar, Chana avatar, which is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Krishna is often referred to as Tri Yuga. And of course we understand he does appear in all 4 yugas, but he's also referred to as Tri Yuga. Tri Yuga Das. So we did all the first edition. What? One more. Oh, Sushila. Oh, sorry about that. That's right. Let's see if I can find the beads. They're here somewhere.
Namaste Gauravani. Namaste Gita